No. We on, Mark?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Welcome back, folks, to Wisdom on Tap. I always forget to say that, but I think people know. If you don't know what it's called at this point, what do you think of that? That's got to be bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
We were just chatting off camera about music, as always, because you're the music man. One of my favourite songs, by the way. What do you play?
Down your way.
Do you play the piano?
Yeah, like that.
What about the slide trombone?
Piano.
That was my
That's it.
That was my favourite at a wedding.
That's a classic.
The umpa
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I actually play that in my kitchen sometimes with my little boy. Yeah. He doesn't
Have you
like
ever
it.
seen... it's a film with... I've forgotten the name of the film. And he gets, I'm slapping the bass, man. I'm slapping the bass. Have you seen that film?
No.
Well, anyway.
Well, you gave me a key plot line there, to be fair.
I told you the title of it. Who's in it?
Who's in it?
Paul Rudd, my favourite actor.
Paul Rudd?
You know, Ant-Man.
Who hasn't aged ever.
Yeah, he's ace. I love him.
He's getting younger.
He's brilliant.
Was in Friends.
I think it's called You the Man or something like that. But yeah, he just reminds me of you. Like he's like making up instruments in his kitchen, basically. I just thought you might have seen it. I've gone off topic.
I'm sorry, you've gone off topic. We haven't gone off topic,
well,
actually.
It's music
because I was thinking, and for anyone at home, if you've seen this, I want to know. Breaking the what's that called when you talk to the audience?
Fourth wall.
What about when I talk to Mark?
You've got to look at the camera though if you're breaking the fourth wall, I think.
So any of you at home that have got Disney and you like music, one of my favourite things at the minute is Paul McCartney and the amazing music producer that I love, who I can't remember. Shout his name out, Mark.
What's he done? Quincy Jones?
Everything.
Rick Rubin.
Oh, yeah, and it's black and white, and they break down Paul McCartney's music. And you can tell they're both just having the best, half hour long, best time. And like Paul McCartney's going, oh yeah, we wrote this. And he's got a piano there and he's like, it started like this. And Rick Rubin's so curious and they're like breaking down, goes, oh, that sound there is amazing. I could listen to that. I could watch that.
I love Rick Rubin.
Forever. And Paul McCartney comes across real well.
Yeah.
And you start to realise actually, like, you just love music, don't you?
And I don't think he ever took himself super seriously like some artists do. You know?
No, he was almost like, hey, he was talking about how they leave a lot of the errors in because they only had, when they was first starting, they only had so many takes because no one was going to give them long time in the studio. So he said, oh, you hear that there? That's kind of like, you wouldn't have that now. You'd do it again. Like I've kind of fumbled a bit there on the guitar. And you think, that's class. Just listening to him tour. And all this listening to him, there's points where he goes, Rick Rubin's breaking down the song. I'm doing this a lot because they got these little... They got like a thing, a switchboard, like Mark's got there, I presume, and he's sliding like, say, most of the music, and they just play the bass. And he's like, listen to that bass. He's like, yeah, I was doing that today. I played that. No, I think Ringo wasn't on the drums then. I was on the drums, just talking about it.
Amazing.
And he's actually surprised how good his own music is. He actually goes, it's actually pretty good, that, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, it's brilliant.
He's humble, isn't he?
Yeah.
I once, about 15 years ago, I was lucky enough to do a session at Abbey Road, and there was a piano in there. And I can't play piano. I was tinkling. Probably playing chopsticks or some stupid stuff like that. And this engineer came over and went, just be careful on that, mate. I went, why? I went, they wrote Lady Madonna on that. That's why it's here. I was like, shit, okay.
By the way.
I was just like putting it down.
By the way, what a bit of piano that is. Ding, 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 ding.
So that was the piano, and it's still in there. Cool, that, isn't it?
Yeah, when you come to my place, I might say, be careful on that piano.
Yeah.
I wrote absolutely nothing
hit
on there.
A future hit.
Yeah. What you were talking about Noel Gallagher, your mate playing with Noel Gallagher.
Yeah.
I made a post about this the other day actually, but I listened to Live Forever by obviously Oasis. Yeah. But normally I love Liam singing things. Maybe.
He's just got that electric voice.
That like rock star vibe. Yeah. But it was Noel Gallagher and High Flying Birds with the BBC, whatever. And it's real stripped back. And you think, oh, them lyrics are good.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
He studied the Beatles, literally studied
You
them.
can tell that.
Yeah.
They played a lot of their stuff at the end on their live ones. But there's some lyrics. Maybe I will never be all the things that I want to be. But now is not the time to cry. Now is the time to find out why.
Oh.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
I've never written anything that good in a
That's almost like a self-help mantra, that, isn't it? It's
well,
brilliant.
that's what I wrote about. I was sat watching it on my sofa.
Yeah.
I just got back from holiday, and it come on. I like to watch music videos on YouTube when I can turn off T-Rex Ranch or Ben and Holly.
I miss Ben and Holly. I miss that. I love that.
Magic leads to trouble.
Yeah, we've grown out of that. My daughter's growing out of that, but I used to like watching that.
Really?
Yeah.
There's something wrong with you.
Well,
so anyway,
it's my level.
Normally I've got Fleetwood Mac music. By the way, I love Lindsay Buckingham, is it?
Don't know.
Lead. Was he a lead guitarist in Fleetwood Mac?
I don't know.
Anyway.
That's rock music. I don't listen to that stuff.
Okay, well, moving past that. Anyway, Noel came on. I was just sat there. And also you can hear the lyrics all of a sudden. I realised I've been singing that song wrong for like the whole of my life. And I was like, man, it's
a good line, that.
It kind of sums up where I'm at in life. I was thinking about it. It kind of hit me. That's why I wrote it down.
Okay.
I wrote it down in my little phone.
So you feel like you're not any of the things you could have been?
No.
Or not all of the things you could have been?
Well, this is something worth talking about, I think, for both of us. And this is why I've handily segued into this story so we can open up this topic.
Okay.
Because I'm an expert podcaster now.
Yes.
Have you not noticed?
Yes. I have noticed.
Yes, I've really noticed.
Yes.
Which is, you're obviously showing up online a lot now.
Yeah.
Which is difficult.
I'm trying.
I'd love to talk to you about that.
Yeah, okay.
Because a lot of questions I get are about showing up and being yourself in life. I don't think online's very different to offline in a sense.
It shouldn't be, but
it is.
It feels very much
It's hard to be
different.
ourselves sometimes in life, I think.
Well, on front of a camera, yeah.
So, and also I wanted to talk to you today. I was thinking, so many things I want to talk to you about. So like passions and how you've like pursued your passion. And that can't have been easy on times. You must have had times you had to do like, where it wasn't working out. We had to do a heavy lift.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm putting and so all these sort of concepts have been floating around in my head. And then I read a post by Phil Graham.
Who's Phil Graham?
Phil Graham coaches, I suppose, or we could say fitness businesses, owners to have better businesses. And he's very good at it, give him his props. But he was talking about, he's obviously worked hard and he's about my age, but he's actually a bit younger. I'm laughing because you just don't look it, Phil. But there we are. And
do you know him?
No. But, you know, he might be watching this.
Yeah, he might do.
But no, anyway. And he's obviously done very well for himself. He's enjoying his life. And he was talking about this balance between you're even a season of creating your life.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you're in the season of enjoying your life. So that hit home. Then Noel Gallagher's high-flying birds of like, maybe I won't be all the things I want to be, but, you know, don't cry about it.
Not at the minute,
Maybe it's time to find out why it won't happen.
Yeah.
Which means you got to take some action.
Yeah.
So all these things were a melting pot in my head. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I was just thinking, let's just dive in with that. But for me, I think I'm in a season of creating. I'm trying to enjoy my little family, but I'm in this season of creating the next phase.
Okay.
And that's why that sort of thing stuck out to me. Because about a year ago, I could keep bumbling on. And I'm pretty sure people can relate to this. And by bumbling, I don't mean like I could carry on doing really well for myself, professionally, personally. But there was this little urge that I wanted to get out there a bit more. But there was also this little urge that I wanted to not get out there a bit more. Because I've got it quite easy. I'd worked hard, taken a lot of risks, built something great. It's like, now I want to enjoy this. And I am enjoying it, but part of me was like, no, there's more. I feel pulled to do a podcast.
Okay.
I feel pulled to put out a book. I feel pulled to open up new courses. And so for me, it was like, maybe that won't work out. I was writing about that. Maybe none of these things will work out. Maybe this podcast will dwindle off into the ether and it'll be shite. I mean, it's not, but maybe people will think it is. Maybe the courses we launch, because we're moving from really focused on our academy to really focusing on High Performance Mind, which is for business owners, entrepreneurs. We've been doing that for a long time, but we never really put it out there. But I felt pulled to do more of that.
Okay.
Maybe all these things will fall flat on their face.
Maybe.
But
maybe not.
I want to find out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to find out. I don't want to sit there and go, well, God, it wouldn't have been nice to have done that. I'd rather know why. Maybe it'll come up short.
Yeah.
And have you ever had that with your own show or your own career? Like, maybe I won't make it. Maybe I won't be a musician. Maybe it won't happen for me.
I've definitely had that feeling. Or maybe I won't make it. A long time ago when I was starting out, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, that was a long time ago. I was a different person back then. But there's been times in my life when I've not so much doubted whether I'll make it per se, whatever your definition of making it is. Like, to me, like, I've made it in the sense that I do a job that I love doing, that's creative, that I've wanted to do since I was young. And I make more money doing it than I ever thought I would. But so in that sense, I've made it, like, I've created a career, I'm providing for my family, I've got a decent level of, income and a way of life, if you like. But then in other ways, it's like, well, I haven't made it because I'm not playing with Sting, or I'm not the best sax player in the world. But it's all about your definition of making it, I suppose. So, but what I struggled with more was could I make it? Because I've always thought, if you work hard at something and you don't have any kind of physical disability or maybe a mental problem, we are all capable of doing literally whatever we put our mind to. The problem is life happens and puts you off course and distracts you. So it was never a case of will it happen or will it not happen? It was more of a self-doubt thing. It's like, have I got what it takes to make it happen? So we've spoken in the past about how I didn't practice enough in my head, at least. And you pointed out that maybe I was more consistent than I give myself credit for. But for me, it was more about, I know I've got what it takes to do it. It's more of, will I do it or will I not do it? And why will I not do it? And why will I not? Like, you're talking about, will it work or not? And I'm thinking, well, it will if you do it. But the question is,
but for some people, I think generally things don't work out.
Yeah.
I think that's, not everyone goes on to get there and meet initially, do they? No, if that was the case, everyone would be wandering around life going, fucking living the dream, me. But we kind of know they're not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I suppose I was at this juncture. I was just reflecting through my life and I was thinking, when I first started out, I had nothing to lose. I took a lot of risks and it was tough. And I had to take a lot of risks, financially, personally, relationship-wise, because I was like, I'm not happy here. I want to do more. I feel pulled. I want to be more. I want to have more. I want to go build a life that I want. And in doing that, you become like, this is great. I started enjoying my life, and I still am enjoying my life, don't get me wrong. And there was this little nagging thing. It's like, I want to get out there more in my work. So, you meet someone like Mark. It's like, maybe you should do a show. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I want to express myself more. I want to do different things. But letting go of the comfort of where it is.
So what do you mean by that?
Like,
are you saying that for you to get to that next level of creation, you've maybe got to give up some income or give up some family time, or there's a sacrifice somewhere?
There's always sacrifice.
Right. And that's where
we've income.
Yeah.
Shows don't run for free, do they?
Yeah. Also,
putting money into other ventures in business, that takes away part of your income. So, you all of a sudden you go, well, we're in a period of investing a lot of money back into what we're doing, time-wise, but also just putting yourself out there.
The energy, yeah.
Will people like it? Will people, get me? There's all that in people. Well, and this is what we were talking about off camera, where it's like showing up online sometimes as your most, let's be a personal development person, authentic self.
Yeah.
Is not easy.
No.
And I've had these little doubts about my character. And I was just wondered if, and we can talk about those, I'm happy to talk about that. Because I know many people are wandering around doubting little bits of their character. Even the people you see.
Who seem to have it all together.
On social media. With these wonderfully crafted images.
Yeah.
Will have an element of self-doubt. That's what I love about listening to people like Bruce Springsteen talking about how he doubted himself and sometimes still does. Is this music going to be any good?
Wow.
You know, how can you doubt yourself? Like Mick Jagger, we spoke about it previously. Keith Richards saying, he forgot who he was. He forgot how good he was. Mick Jagger, how can he doubt himself?
Yeah.
He's Mick Jagger. But there's an element of that in all of us. I think people are walking around maybe doubting themselves, unsure of themselves, and think that's like only them. So I suppose in showing up, when you've come out online, have you had elements of like,
Yeah. So just to give people an idea of what I've had to do. So one of my projects at the moment is something called the Sax Shed, which is...
It's a big plug there.
Well...
No, I'm joking.
It's not operational as such.
Like.
I'm not plugging it because it's not really operational as such right now, but basically...
But it will be.
It will be. So that is going to be like an online community for saxophone players, but more so just musicians in general. That just so happens that I play the sax, so that's the kind of vehicle for it. And one thing that we established quickly was that I needed to be better on camera at being myself. So I've got the knowledge. I can play sax. I know how to teach. What I wasn't good at is just being my natural self in front of a camera. So Mark he said, look, best thing for you to do is just do videos of yourself on your phone and put them out there into the ether and just try not to worry about it. And given Mark's previous life as someone that coaches people to be better on video, obviously I listened to him and I hated every single minute of it. I just put it off. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't be consistent with it. I would take a video and then delete it because I didn't like what I looked like. I didn't like what my voice sounded like. I thought maybe I delivered it wrong or I'd forgotten to say something.
The voice is a weird thing when you first hear your voice in it. You go,
well, that's not what I sound
like. I sound like that? Yeah. Why am I so high-pitched? Why do I sound like Mike Tyson?
Yeah. I remember the first time I heard my voice was on, this is in the early 90s. We got our very first answering machine at home, and I must have called home to leave a message for my mum.
Posh, wasn't he, Mark?
And I heard this voice, and I said to Mum, "Who's that?" She went, "That's you." And I went, "That's not me." She went, "It is." And I was like, "I don't sound like that."
You do.
It's awful.
It is. It's terrible.
It is awful. But then there's what you look like, because obviously, unless you're perfectly symmetrical, you think you look like what you look like in the mirror. But that's not actually what you look like. That's a reflection of what you look like, right?
Right, yeah.
So what you look like is what other people see. And when you video yourself, everything's the wrong way around.
So you find putting yourself out there, what you look like, what you sound like,
that was the main thing at first that I didn't like.
What you look like and sounded like.
Yeah, because I know I'm overweight. I need to lose weight. Didn't like that. Didn't like my voice. That's gone now because I've done it so much now. So, I mean, that was like 5 years ago when this was happening.
Really?
Yeah.
5 years?
Yeah. So like I say, inconsistent on and off, different things happening in our lives that kind of stopped it. But it was awful. I hated doing it. And then there was this thing of, well, what if I say something to do with music or saxophone and there's someone out there who's better than me, who's like, no, that's wrong. That was a big worry as well.
So being called out by somebody else in your industry.
Yeah, exactly.
For saying, well, hang on, that's probably not how you should do that.
Yeah, that's wrong. You shouldn't say that, So, because obviously there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? So music's the same. There's different ways of doing the same thing, and there's also different schools of thought on different things. And I have my specific way that I was taught. So I've not had a great deal of different teachers. And I've not, other than the 4 years at music college, I haven't done a lot of what we call active studying. So a lot of my knowledge is just from doing stuff. So and from teaching it, I've learned how to explain things by having to figure it out to teach someone. Yeah. So someone would say, how do I do this? And I'd be like, I don't know, let's figure it out. And
surely that's one of the best ways. I have learned possibly, a shitload. Academically, you might use that word, academically. But that's great. But actually, most of the stuff that's embedded into Unbreakable is the practical application of that, of how I've had to figure out how to put that into my life. Because what you read in books in personal development is very different to how it might look trying to put it into a person's life.
And that
was a big shock for me when you start working with people, not just yourself. You don't notice it when you're doing it yourself. You're like, well, here's what we need to do. Here's what I've learned. Oh, you're not doing it. It's not working. But hang on a minute. Page 12 of my Get Your Shit Together manual says that we should be able to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. You've got a load of shit going on in your life, and you're not really, you haven't been able to figure that out.
Yeah.
So it was like, how do you find ways to make the information idea practically put into somebody's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how I've learned most of my stuff.
Yeah.
You can tell by someone who's trying to coach just by what they've learned. You can just tell. It just sounds like you're just reading a book. You sound like you're reading a book.
Yeah,
and you've got no way to adapt. So I think, how many of us are wandering around relationships, jobs, just in yourself, thinking like, not putting yourself out there because you're almost afraid of being called out, to speak.
There's definitely. I still have a bit of that going on.
I think it's a fear of being found out, to not be good enough.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
I mean, not psychoanalyzing it, but it's like we don't want to be found wanting, do we, in certain areas?
Yeah, I think a big part of it for me was not really understanding the audience. Like, it's obvious that our audience is and will be like the beginner to intermediate level.
Yeah.
But I was too busy wondering what
trying to impress
people of my level and above would think. And Mark would say, well, they're not our people. Like, so don't give a shit.
It sounds so easy when someone like Mark says that.
Well, yeah, but it's also stuff like, I'd be doing videos for video's sake. It's just reps, right? Mark would say, just get your reps in. And I understand that concept, being a musician who has to practice. So I was down with that. I was like, right, just put it out there, send it into the world and forget about it. But I was always thinking, I'd think about a random friend and be like, what would they think if they saw that? Yeah.
It's just, I think we all think you put in your thought. I was talking about this in our academy. It takes a lot of courage to put your thoughts out there because they're usually up here, aren't they?
Yeah, and your belief system as well.
And also, as society tends to hammer people and jump on the slightest. I mean, I think this a lot, that we wonder why people are afraid of putting themselves out there in any area of life. But when you see how we behave as a whole society, we can't wait to tear somebody apart. Funnily enough, I watched the Man United Man City game on the weekend. And Ten Hag was joking around. He's like, you commentators, that's my Dutch accent. Yes. We want to do gold member, Yes, very good. But he doesn't sound like that. Yes, very good. You commentators, you are very good at build up. Yes, build up. Offending all the Dutch right now. We've got a massive Dutch audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're big in the Netherlands, I've heard.
We're huge in the Netherlands. Yeah. Like those bands who go off and like tour like Europe to get reps.
Yeah.
And they're big in like Austria or something.
Right.
That's us, yeah.
Okay.
We toured with this for ages. He's like, yes, you're very good at building up, good. And then bad season, tear.
Right, so he was having a go at the media.
He wasn't having a go at the media. He was very playful with it.
Yeah.
But he's fucking right.
Yeah, plus he played a blinder on
But we're impatient and we find a little nick, a little chink in someone's armour and we say, oh, they're not perfect.
Yeah.
Let's hammer the hell out of them. And then a celebrity kills themselves.
Yeah.
And we go, oh God, we shouldn't do this anymore. And then about a week later, we're back doing it.
Yeah.
Because we just can't wait to tear somebody apart. So I think if you're looking at that as, and I'm looking up there because that's where I'm looking. If you're looking at that as how society operates, and then you go, I wonder why people are afraid to be themselves. It's like, yeah, I wonder. I don't care what anyone says, because I'm getting passionate now. In my line of work, whether you're a business owner, whether you're somebody walking the earth, just minding your own business, one of the biggest fears I see from experience, and this is my experience, is people struggle to be themselves.
Online or just in life?
Everywhere.
Right.
And we think there's a way to be. And I have had that. You talk about little things. One of the biggest things I question about putting myself out there is like, in marketing world, it's like, am I aspirational enough for another human being? It's like, maybe I need to go like, I don't know, just display my life, you know, like, so people go, oh, I just want to be like that.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that great? He's successful, look. But that's not me.
It's not true.
It's not who I am. And so it's like, maybe I need to make more of a song and dance about my achievements, but that's not me. That's not a limiting belief. Like people say, well, maybe you feel uncomfortable putting it out there. It's like, no, it's just not me. Like, I know what I'm about.
I think,
I'm not, you know, do you see what I'm saying?
And I think that's a good thing that you know that, because you mentioned before about being authentic and being your true self. And, you know, whether or not you feel you're being your true self in real life, I mean, that's down to individual people. But one thing I feel, and that I've learned through doing all these videos that I didn't want to do, is that when you are a bit more truthful and a bit more authentic, people connect with it more.
Well, because
they realise you're just human like them.
Yeah, that's a killer song.
It is, yeah.
But that's a good song. I think it's true. Like, I suppose the doubts I have had in that is, you're taught, if you look around my industry, that transformational style of leadership, which is to put yourself front and center and say, you know, 6 months ago I was, you know, 50 stone and eating out of bins. But, you know, in the last 6 months, I discovered the secret and, you know, I'm a millionaire now. Yeah. And also I've just won Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, but do people, when those pop up on Instagram, do people actually believe that shit?
Yes.
Well,
I've got a theory on that. I'll come back to that.
I don't.
Exactly. And that's what I find. What I find is if I was to try and display that, I would attract a lot of idiots like that, no offense.
Right.
And I go, oh my God, how am I working with you?
Okay.
But the kind of people that are drawn to the work I do are the people that I'd sit in the pub and have a pint with, for the most part.
Yeah.
And they'd be and I work with extremely successful people. Extremely. I'm talking businesses in the multi-millions a year, very wealthy in their own cash level of people. And those people are down to earth, great people.
Yeah.
Not like, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being flashy or showy. There's nothing wrong with that if that's who you are.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to try and appeal to that when I'm not about that. I'm quite a simple person. I spent the weekend planting my runner beans.
Yeah.
You know?
Really?
Well, not the weekend. I mean, I haven't got that many runner beans. A forest of runner beans. Yeah. But, you know, I planted some runner beans. I went to the garden. Can we do a
podcast on runner beans?
I went to the garden centre. I bought a new tree.
How old are you?
Yeah, exactly. And I spent a bit of time with my boy. I went to a family barbecue, watched the FA Cup final, played some ping pong.
Nice.
You know.
It's a nice weekend.
And I thought, this is all right, isn't it? Yeah. Sunday, I had to do, what did I do Sunday? I don't know. What I'm trying to make is, I wasn't like, oh my God, I've just jetted across to Mexico with my wife and here we are in our bikinis and look at us all ripped. There's that level now where a lot of my industry is moving that way.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a shelf life to that. I think people will just think this is bullshit.
Possibly.
I hope so. It's obvious.
But you don't relate to that. Whereas there's some people out there going, oh my God, yeah, that's the life I want. I want a private jet and I want to go to Mexico and I want to be like you know, like hanging out with Drake or something and look at my private jet and that's what I want. And if that's what you want, crack on. But I suppose my whole message in the work we do is, hey, you don't have to become somebody else. You got to become more you. You've got to feel into what's best for you. And so that's why it goes full circle. If I look at what's sometimes held me back with showing up more is like, do I have to be like that? But what I realized really over time is, no, I just need to show up and just be me. Because there's people out there go, oh my God, that's just what I want. Also, if you're talking about transformations, my transformation, I don't find it that impressive personally when people do huge feats of stuff. Like if, you know, say next week I ran around the world. Yeah. People are like, oh my God, he's ran around the world. He's like, let me sign up. His grit, his resilience. Yeah. And that's great if that's what you're about. But I think my transformation was actually more inner. Yeah. And that's not sexy. Nobody wants to do that. We think we want to do it. But to do the inner game and overcome your own demons and to start liking who you are, that is tough. Do you know what I mean? And Mark would have seen that. Probably Mark saw me in that period of time where I was like, I fucking hate me and everything and everyone. And then we got in touch maybe, I don't know how many years later.
5.
And I think Mark said, okay, now you can see you've done some work. But that was, nobody sees that. Because it's hard to see that, isn't it? Online.
Yeah.
But people see it in your own life, which I think where it matters. So it's hard to sell that, if that makes sense. But if I put a picture up of my lovely home, people find it easier to sell that, if that makes sense.
But over time, I think, just you saying that, if someone was to watch that little bit there, for me personally, I'd be like, wow, I'm into that.
Yeah. And that's the point I suppose we're coming back to. The thing I've come to see in all that, I will say to people is like, people need you to be more you. And that's what I realised. I don't know if we were talking about this where someone said, are you the best at what you do? Did we talk about this last time?
I think you mentioned that, yeah.
With Tony Robbins and stuff.
I just want to ask you that.
Yeah, and I was like, are you the best at what you do? I was like, who's the best? Who the hell is the best? For somebody, I am the best, right? A lady came into our 5 days and she went, last week I did Tony Robbins' free 5 days. This is so much better.
Yeah, you told me that bit. Yeah.
So, and it's like, so I'm better than Tony Robbins now. No, I had for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she went, I think there's so much information out there, and we love to think our information is different, and I love to think, hey, Unbreakable's built differently, and you can never mimic our path. It's so intricate and so long. It's like you'd have to go through it yourself and then try and remember it. But actually, it's the messenger that people relate to, and there's people out there musically who need you. Yeah. They don't want to. One of the things I loved learning piano is this bloke, and you go, hey guys, welcome along, this picture of piano. Today we're going to learn some Aerosmith. God, I love Aerosmith, and so let's have a little play on this. And he's like, and I was like, brilliant. That is my guy. Yeah. It's so playful, and I wouldn't be like, right, so here's let's learn Claire de Lune, and I'm going to get this to the flipping note. And I was like, no, that's not for me. I can't cope with with who you are. It's the messenger that people need. But take this out of business. This is life. I mean, it's who we're being that has got to be the most important thing, isn't it? We sometimes wonder what we're doing. And there is a part of what we're doing is who we're being, but it's who we are as we go about our life.
The Tony Robbins lady, not to trick back that, do you think it's partly because she saw part of herself through you and not so much through Tony?
I don't know what it is. Maybe she just related to somebody a bit more English.
I think there's a bit of that, isn't there? Sometimes.
And people always say to you, oh, again, this is another fear I had. They say, oh, you're so down to earth, you're so humble. But actually that used to be a bit of a stumbling block on sometimes, because people would sometimes mistake that for not knowing your shit. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's a level of you make yourself too down to earth. People maybe underestimate how good you are at something. Yeah. Which is why on social media, you'll see a lot of people try and create authority. Right. They try and create a little bit of distance between them and that, because they want to be seen as hey, I'm an authority. Yeah. I suppose I probably haven't got time for that kind of shit, but sometimes it's been a fear, not fear, but it's something I've noticed sometimes that, hey, hang on, you may see me wandering around with my dog, and do you realise Unbreakable was pretty successful? Just because I'm sat here in a shit fleece.
I think it's quite a nice fleece.
The pink is lovely. And so I think ultimately, as we're wandering through life, there is a real fear about being ourselves. And we sometimes think we have to be different. I've discussed this loads of times, in essence. I just think, hey, somebody needs you to be more you. Don't they? But we have these real fears about being who we are. Yeah. And I said, to go back to the Noel Gallagher quote, maybe you're not going to, when you said, what are you worried it's not going to work out? Yeah. So not at all. But sometimes it's easier not to find out, you think. It's easier to go, well, I'm not going to find out. I'll just sit here. But then I think you'll always be wondering. Yeah. So it's I'm going to go. I'm going to find out. And if I'm found lacking in certain areas, then I'll improve them. And if I'm not found lacking, great. But I'd rather find out than sit feeling the resistance in me to not find out. And you say about feedback, Mark said some people are going to love it. Hey, every week I'll get messages of people who think I'm the biggest dick going.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
You've got to stop sending them. On the other hand, every week I get messages of people telling me how amazing I am. So thanks for that, Mark. Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah, thanks, Mum. But, I had it. The internet opens you up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you'll get that. And people say, what do you do with haters? They're not haters. They're just people just...
How'd you deal with that? Because I'm not there yet. That's coming. And Mark's prepped me for that. He said that when we go, proper go, there's going to be people taking a piss, slagging you off, whatever, online. And right now I'm like, yeah, whatever. But when it comes to it, I might not be as stoic as that. And it's not because it'll bother me so much. It's because I want to have a go back because I'm like that. I don't like, if people fuck with me, then I'll fuck with you back sort of thing. But you can't do that online effectively. So you're better off just to let it go. But
it's hard though, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying.
I've got my own philosophy on this kind of nonsense online. If I'm running an ad, people will often comment on it. Some funny ones, like the ones that make me laugh are, what are you doing on my Facebook? I'm like, you don't quite get Facebook, do you? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, what are you doing on my feed? I don't know you, stuff like that. Like, who cares? Like, and if I'm advertising and I'm interrupting your news feed, I'm probably going to open myself up to some shit.
Right.
And I just tend to I don't get involved with that. Some people will go in
that's just them being frustrated that there's an ad-on that they don't want.
Yeah, some people say like, you're full of shit, you're whatever, this ad's about nonsense, you're crap. And I'm just like, yeah, you got no real point. You're just fed up by something. So I don't do anything with them. Now and again, this happens a lot. You'll see the same person comment on all your ads. Here you are again. You're back on my ad. You're back on my Facebook, right? And I'm like, I feel like saying, you've got to stop commenting on here, mate. Because like your algorithm's showing you more of me.
Yeah.
I usually block them, not for me, but for them. I'm like, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to block you so you don't see my stuff because you can't quite figure it out. If someone comes on my timeline and says something articulately and makes a point and it's valid.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I think a lot of people confuse that with hate.
No, I think it could be a genuine question. And sometimes, because you don't get a tone and stuff like that, sometimes it could be a genuine question, but it comes across as a sarcastic criticism.
I'll always give people the benefit of the doubt and I'll try and engage them.
Yeah.
Now and again, I just get messages where you're like, you're just a knob, ain't you?
Yeah, exactly. That's those people. How do you deal with that?
Just block them.
Right.
But seriously, people go, why would you block them? It's like, well, they're not getting no benefit from me. I'm getting no benefit from them. Yeah. If they were in here and they were just abusing me, would I say, let's carry on? I'd probably say, jog on, mate, get out. So I just try and treat my online world like that. It's like, I'm not interested. There's sometimes, I had it this week actually, just about the podcast. Somebody emailed me saying, about Ben. There was a clip where Ben was saying, he's come off social media. Mark put this clip together, obviously. And it's out of context, isn't it? And I'm joking around saying, that's probably my fault, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. But if you listen to the whole thing, there's a reason Ben came off social media. But I had this message, I used to love Ben's videos and, at least he shows up. You don't care, obviously. You're shirking your responsibility. You're the problem. Blah, blah, blah. And I got it at like 3 a.m, I think. And I actually responded to that in a nice way. I was like, hey, no drama, but maybe you should watch the whole episode.
Yeah.
I said, just a little observation. You may have loved it, but my mum can say this because Ben shared this, but Ben wasn't getting what he wanted from showing up.
Yeah.
He had a lot going on. So, we encouraged him to actually, he wanted to make more impact. And, a lot of people, he felt a lot of people were using him, as in his own words, a bit like an agony aunt in his inbox and never moving forward, never letting him help them in a coaching capacity. So he came into our academy and doubled down the efforts there. Benefited him, benefited us. Yeah. Didn't benefit you, but, if you want to come work with him, pay some money, come in the academy.
Did you get a response?
No. Oh, of course you didn't, because people like to just throw shit out there. And it's, and I responded to that because it was my email inbox. And I just think ultimately, everyone can tell you things like people are doing the best for them and yada, yada. And, you never know what people are going through. And it's like, I appreciate that. But my experience is if you're going through a tough time and you're being a dick, you were probably a dick anyway.
Right.
That's just my experience. People who are probably all right and go through a tough time generally have their moments, don't we? But they're generally still reasonable. So I'm just not going to tolerate that. I'm not going to put up with it. I don't feel I should have to. And I get a lot less of that now because I stopped setting myself up as this Jesus-like character that's walking the earth trying to help everyone. I noticed that a lot in my line of work. It's like I'm putting this on, this free training, because I just want to help everyone. It's like, no, you want to sell something. So I'm honest about that. I'm like, hey, come in here and it's free, but I'm going to offer you the opportunity to come in our courses. I'm not here just for the crack. Like I'm not a charity. Hopefully if you don't want anything, get some benefit. Brilliant. But if you do, there's opportunities here. And now I get a lot less of, I thought you wanted to help. It's all about the money. I get a lot less of that.
Because you're just upfront.
Because I'm just upfront about it. And if people don't like that, well, go find somebody who is out there doing that. That's not what I'm about. And does it mean, and then people say, well, maybe you don't care. It's like, of course I care. But I don't
care about putting food on the table for your kids.
But at the same time, but also I care enough to know that there's hardly any transformation coming from rolling around doing free stuff.
Yeah.
Now, that's not always the case, but for the most part. And there's a big difference between somebody who can't afford a service than somebody who doesn't think they should have to.
Right. Yeah.
If I couldn't afford music lessons off you and I was desperate and you maybe said, he really can't, I'm going to help him out here. Yeah. I would probably go, oh my God, thank you. But if I went, oh, fuck me, you love music, just show me some stuff every week for a few hours. Yeah. That's different. Yeah. And I won't engage with that individual at all because I don't think it's good for them, but also it's not going to be good for me. I'm not going to enjoy that.
It's a minefield, isn't it, doing online stuff? I mean, I'm not even fully there yet, and already it's like, it's changed the world. You've made a career out of it. I'll make a career out of it. But it's just weird at the same time. Because
it will get to you at some point. Maybe it won't. Mark's worked with a lot of coaches. I can't talk about anyone else. There's certainly been times in my life where I thought, I don't need this shit.
Yeah.
I long for that. Lot clocking in at 9, clocking out at 5.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I had that the other day.
And just being...
Just walk home from work and just leave it there.
And also I was thinking, maybe I should just retire. Maybe I could have a few years off, I think. Maybe I could just go and work on the hills for a couple of years. Like just cutting back bushes and mowing them. Yeah, imagine that with the dog. 9 till 5. But I know part of me be going, but I'll be flipping coaching everyone while I'm up there.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes we all feel like that. Like everyone feels like with their job.
Yeah.
I think we all feel like, do I need this?
Yeah, I feel like, I love my job, as I said earlier at the beginning, but there's times when I'm like, oh God, I'm just sick of doing this. But then the next day I'm like, whatever, you just did too many on the bounce, that's it.
Exactly. And again, we can cover this, but I think we'll cover this in the next episode, stress.
Gig fatigue.
Fatigue,
that's
burnout.
What I call it.
Stress, doing too much of something.
The same thing, yeah.
Drinking water is great for you, but if you drink 45 litres in a minute, you're probably going to die.
Yeah.
That's a silly example. But
it's very extreme.
It's very extreme, but luckily we've only got 1.5 litres over there. Mark's been he's like, no, you've got to limit his water intake because that fucker will do 40 litres.
Yeah, and then die.
And we can't have that on our plate in here, can we?
No.
If someone dies in here from water...
Yeah.
Hey, hydration's good for you.
It is good for you.
You know what I mean? I think we should wrap it up next week. But if we're looking at this episode, I love this conversation because I think it's so important. And I know it's important to people who listen. Some people are like, Roy, what are they on about? But there's people out there going, you know what? I struggle to show up as myself. Well, I doubt myself and doubt who I am. Am I enough as who I am?
If from a personal standpoint, if there's anyone listening who's just starting out on trying to get their self or their business out via video, all I will say is just keep going because it does get easier. You just keep doing it, and eventually you're not as bothered by it.
I had a message last week, just quickly. I got to tell Mark about this actually, who saw some of the podcasts, and they said, "Hey mate, I love your podcasts," and they do quite a lot of podcasting, and they've got quite a good podcast.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Just keep going, don't quit." And I was like, He's like, "Because it's going to be good." Like,
because it's shit yet.
Yeah, no. I think what he meant was,
there's a compliment in there somewhere.
He meant,
don't give up.
It's going to get the recognition it deserves.
Great.
For what it is. But most podcasts are me sat talking to an expert, not like some bloke like you.
Yeah. Most podcasts, Mark told me that they don't get, is it 9 episodes and then they fail or something? Or they just stop doing it? 3.
But also, but then you are sat there going, they get an expert on, it's like an interview, but I wanted to finish this at 40 minutes, but I didn't want to sit here and just interview somebody else and give somebody else a platform every week. And then maybe create a big audience off that myself. I wanted a platform for me. I wanted to talk about the things I want to talk about with the people I want to talk about it with. And I wanted to talk about the stuff we've just spoke about.
Yeah.
Rather than going, so your new book, I've read it. It's brilliant. It's out on Tuesday, isn't it?
It is,
With who's a publisher? Anyone?
Penguin.
Yeah. And with Penguin.
Yeah.
And chapter 12, where you say, the moon and the sun collide on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And at that point, your energy will go through the roof, and you can learn how to harness that by buying my course. I love that bit. What made you write that?
Basically, I just wanted to make loads of money, so I just wrote a shit book.
Yeah.
Idiots would buy.
Yeah. And now how many podcasts are you on this month where I'm going to hear the exact same questions?
Quite
that you
a few,
answer?
actually. Yeah, I'm plugging this book quite a lot.
Has
it's
anyone
weird.
asked
you might see me quite a lot.
Has anyone asked you a different question yet? The last 12 minutes. What made you write the book?
No, somebody asked me once about my difficult life beforehand and how I transformed myself in 6 months.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
one thing one thing that stood out about you to me actually is did you manage to land your jet at the Robin Hood airport?
Yeah.
Did they accept it? Because it's normally cargo.
So we set off from Mexico. Yeah. Because I've been there with my...
Cancun?
Yeah. You know it.
Cancun.
So I've been to Cancun with my wife, who's half my age and got massive appendages.
Really?
Yeah. And
you didn't bring her? See, that's somebody I would like to interview.
No, she's out shopping at the moment.
Shopping Doncaster?
Yeah, with my credit card.
What, is she at B&M?
Oh, no, we don't go to places like that. I'm a millionaire.
You're not?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Did it in 6 months.
Me too. Is this a separate episode now? I can't figure out where we are. What do you drink?
I get your point.
What do you drink?
What do I drink? Yeah. Matcha tea infused with...
sadness.
No, tears of a unicorn.
Really? Yeah, do you have your own unicorns?
No, but I'm just looking into investing in a company that can 3D print unicorns.
It's not to do with Bitcoin, is it?
Sort of. It's part AI, part Bitcoin. Elon Musk is into it. It's going to be massive next year.
Huge.
Yeah, 3D printed unicorns. You take the tears out, you put it into matcha tea, you drink it, and basically it makes you more attractive to the opposite sex. You get a free jet with it.
Yep.
And you can basically just do what you want, when you want, wherever you want. It's great.
Have you been practicing that at home in your mirror? I'll tell you what, I'm going to say.
We're in the wrong business.
That's my pitch. What do you think, Dragons?
Should be on telly.
I'm out, actually.
You're out?
Yeah. It sounds too good to be true to me. I tell you who might be in, though. Stephen Bartlett.
Mic drop.
So, he's probably going, really? Unicorns?
Let's get him on.
Wow, I never knew that. That's brilliant. Maybe I'll invest into that.
Yeah.
He's coming in for a lot of stick, he is, for all the stuff he puts online. Yeah, we're just tearing him down because he's successful, man. Anyway, folks, that's enough. We'll see you on the next episode.
See ya.